We often imagine the path to wealth as a series of high-stakes battles, moments where we must summon incredible willpower to say no to a temptation or find the courage to make a massive leap. We picture the disciplined person as someone constantly fighting an internal war, standing at a crossroads every single hour and choosing the harder path through sheer force of soul. But if you look closer at those who actually sustain success over decades, you'll find a startling paradox. The most disciplined people actually make far fewer decisions than everyone else. Most of us spend our days in a state of constant negotiation with ourselves. We wake up and negotiate with the alarm clock. We sit at our desks and negotiate which task deserves our attention. We look at our finances and negotiate whether this specific purchase is a need or a want. This constant weighing of options is a silent killer of long-term wealth. Every time you have to make a choice, you consume a finite resource, your cognitive energy. In psychology, we call this decision fatigue. As the day progresses and the number of choices mounts, your brain looks for shortcuts. It becomes impulsive. It starts to favor immediate gratification over long-term stability. This is why you might start your day with a clear financial plan, only to find yourself making an emotional, unnecessary purchase by 7 p.m. It wasn't a lack of character, it was a depletion of the mental fuel required to remain disciplined. The truly disciplined individual understands that willpower is a fragile tool. They don't rely on it. Instead, they focus on the architecture of their lives. They don't wake up and decide to be productive. They have a system that dictates when work begins. They don't try to save money. They have automated structures that move capital before they even have the chance to feel its presence in their hands. When you predetermine your actions, you remove the emotional friction that leads to failure. Think about the anxiety that comes with financial uncertainty. Much of that stress doesn't come from a lack of money, but from the constant, exhausting need to manage the relationship with it. Should I invest now? Should I wait? Can I afford this? When these questions remain open, they leak energy. The disciplined person has already answered these questions. They have decided once and for all what their savings rate is. They have decided what kind of lifestyle they are content with. Because these decisions are settled, they don't experience the itch of comparison or the FOMO that plagues the modern mind. While others are distracted by every new trend or shiny object, the disciplined person is calm. Their path is narrow, not because they are restricted, but because they have eliminated the noise. This shift in perspective changes everything. Wealth ceases to be something you chase through a series of lucky choices and becomes the inevitable byproduct of a life with fewer variables. We often fear that discipline will rob us of our freedom. We think that by making fewer choices, we are becoming rigid or losing our spontaneity. But the opposite is true. By automating the foundational elements of your life, your health, your work habits, and your financial boundaries, you actually create the mental space required for true creativity and peace. You aren't wasting your genius on deciding what to eat or whether to save. You are saving that energy for the things that truly move the needle. Consider the emotional burden of the undecided life. It is a life of constant second-guessing. It is a life where every temptation is a threat because you haven't yet decided who you are in relation to that temptation. When you decide ahead of time that you are someone who thinks in decades rather than days, the short-term fluctuations of the world lose their power over you. You stop reacting to the market, you stop reacting to social pressure, and you stop reacting to your own fleeting moods. True wealth is built in the silence of these non-decisions. It is built in the years where you didn't have to choose to stay the course, because staying the course was simply the default setting of your life. If you find yourself struggling, feeling behind, or constantly stressed by your financial choices, perhaps the answer isn't to try harder. Perhaps the answer is to stop deciding. Look at the areas where you are constantly negotiating with yourself and close the door. Set the rule. Build the system. Discipline is not an act of will, it is an act of design.
The more you can automate your behavior, the less you have to rely on your fluctuating emotions. And in the end, that is the ultimate psychological edge. The person who wins is not the one who makes the best decisions every day. It is the person who structured their life so that the right decisions were made years ago, leaving them with nothing to do but watch the harvest grow. Observe your patterns today. Identify the one recurring decision that drains your energy and makes you feel vulnerable. Resolve it now, not for today, but for good. When you finally decide who you are and what you stand for, the world stops being a series of distractions and starts being a clear, quiet path toward the future you've already chosen.